Good evening and welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting, Monday the 24th of October 2022. 1. Meeting opening. 1.1. Attendance. Are there any apologies, Mr Benny?
Yes, single apology this evening from Councillor Lloyd Crom.
Thank you, Mr Benny. Item 1.2, acknowledgement of traditional owners of the land. Council acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and pays respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, while also recognising their deep and continuing connections to climate, culture and country. We also pay our respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their elders and acknowledge their journey. Item 1.3, offering of prayer, reflection or affirmation. As part of Council's commitment to recognising the cultural and spiritual diversity of our community, the prayer, reflection or affirmation this evening will be offered by Sister Vani Vyeshakumar from the Brahma Kumars World Spiritual University, a member of the Greater Dandenong Interfaith Network. Please stand.
Good evening to Mayor and the rest of them. Please be seated. So, Om Shanti is a greeting of peace. I will start with this reflection with an Om Shanti and with reflection of Om Shanti at the end. Okay. First, breathe in peace. Breathe out any tension. Again, breathe in peace. Breathe out any tension. Now relax the body, your feet, your shoulder, the neck, and your thinking, and your mind. Then wake a memory of your deepest feeling of peace and calm. Remember, listen, allow the calm feeling to flow into you and through you. Connect to this feeling of deep peace and calm. Absorb it. Fill yourself with these feelings. Gently return to your innermost peaceful and the calm place. Finally, feeling refreshed and empowered from the peaceful feeling of your calm center, let this feeling of calm and peace flow out into your life and to the atmosphere of this meeting and your sharing this evening. Om Shanti. And thank you.
Thank you, Sister Vani. Item 1.4, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting of Council held on the 10th of October 2022. Moved by Deputy Mayor Foster, second by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the item carried. Item 1.5, disclosures of interest. Mr Benny.
Mayor and Councillors, there are two disclosures this evening. They're both from Councillor Bob Milkovich. The first relates to item 2.3.3, Town Planning Application 22XL Drive, Dandenong North, PLN 21/0626. The type of interest is an indirect material conflict of interest of a non-pecuniary nature. The nature of the interest is that Councillor Milkovich was the agent who sold this house approximately 12 months ago. He will be required to redeclare the interest and leave the chamber for the item. The next item is also from Councillor Bob Milkovich. It relates to item 2.3.4, Town Planning Application 15 Genoa Street, Dandenong North, PLN 21/0716. Type of interest is a direct material conflict of interest of a pecuniary nature. The nature of the interest is that the property is owned by a family member. Again, Councillor Milkovich will be required to restate the conflict and leave the chamber for the item. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Benny. And before I move on to item 2, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome former Mayor Councillor Maria Sampi, who's in attendance this evening. Item 2, Officers' Reports, Part 1, 2.1, Documents for Sealing, 2.1.1, Documents for Sealing. Moved by Councillor Lim, second by Councillor Formosa. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 2.2, Documents for Tabling, 2.2.1, Petitions and Joint Letters. Moved by Councillor Long, second by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 2.3, Statutory Planning Applications, 2.3.1, Planning Decisions issued by Planning Minister's Delegate, September 2022. Moved by Councillor Dark, second by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 2.3.2, Planning Delegated Decisions issued September 2022. Moved by Councillor Long, second by Deputy Mayor Foster. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 2.3.3, Town Planning Application number 22, Excel Drive, Dandenong North, Planning Application number PLN 21/0626. Councillor Milkovich.
I've got a conflict of interest for this item. It's an indirect material conflict of interest of a non-pecuniary nature. I was the agent involved in the transaction of this property approximately 12 months ago. And I also have a disclosure of interest for the item 2.3.4, which is 15 Genoa Street. It's a direct material conflict of interest of a pecuniary nature. Is in effect that a property is owned by a family member, so I will leave the chamber for those items. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Milkovich. Councillor Milkovich is now leaving the chamber for this item and also the next item. Councillors, 2.3.3, Town Planning Application number 22, Excel Drive, Dandenong North, Planning Application number PLN 21/0626.
Happy to move, Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Dark, second by Councillor O'Reilly. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Move on to the next item, item 2.3.4, Town Planning Application number 15 Genoa Street, Dandenong North, Planning Application number PLN 21/0716. Moved by Councillor O'Reilly, second by Councillor Dark. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? Opposition, Councillor Garrard. Councillor O'Reilly, as the first mover.
Mayor, I don't need to go through all the detail of this application. It's in the agenda. The officers have responded to it appropriately under our planning code, and I'll be interested to hear what the objections are. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Councillor Dark is the seconder.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I rise to echo the sentiment from Councillor O'Reilly. I'm aware that there was some email correspondence sent late today from a town planner / former employee of this organisation to do with the overshadowing of the site, and I did do a drive-by late this afternoon to have a look, and the site actually sits on quite an elevated hill. There's views in some areas and some not so much, and I don't see the projected line of sight to do with the overshadowing of what's currently there and planned. I note the block is 653 square metres. It's for an additional dwelling. The property is situated on one side of the property, allowing for the use, and I do understand that officers have looked at it and reviewed it, and their decision and their recommendation is to issue a notice of decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. In opposition, Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. The points of opposition are, as stated, overdevelopment of the site, non-compliance with surrounding neighbourhood nature, traffic impacts along Murray Road, overshadowing despite Councillor Dark's assertions, impact of the view line towards the CBD of Dandenong, and impact on views from 58 Murray Road ground floor bedroom windows.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Are there any further speakers, councillors? If there's no further speakers, right of reply, Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. I've heard the objections from Councillor Garrard, and as far as I can determine, none of those are planning reasons at all, and just appear to be highly subjective. We can't decide planning applications on different people's views on, whether they have. Whether a resident has a view across the road or here and there. I mean, we've got absolute metrics that these applications are worked out fairly by, and if this council, refused applications based on, a few sentences, then our planning system becomes a farce. So on that basis of consistent and fair decision making, I think we should accept the officer's recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. All councillors in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Councillor O'Reilly, Deputy Mayor Foster, Councillor Long, Councillor Memeti, Councillor Formosa, Councillor Tan, Councillor Lim and Councillor Dark. All those against? Councillor Garrard. That's 8-1. I declare the motion carried. Could we please call Councillor Milkovich back in the room? Move on to the next item, councillors. Item 3, question time public. Mr Benny.
First question this evening is from Elizabeth Grasso of Keysborough. When is the City of Greater Dandenong going to implement a cat curfew? There is a plethora of evidence-based arguments that support a night curfew that would save the lives of wildlife. Every night in Australia, cats kill and maim our native nocturnal mammals that live in our gardens and in our suburbs. Irresponsible cat owners should be educated, and when a cat curfew is implemented, compliance measures undertaken if not adhered to. Other local government areas have implemented these measures. Let's not drag behind other much more progressive councils. Mr Bosman can respond, Mr Mayor.
Mr Bosman.
Mr Mayor, thank you to yourself, to Ms Grasso. We have in fact, this council has in fact adopted the implementation of a cat curfew. It formed part of our revised domestic animal management plan, and we are presently in the process of rolling out our community engagement, community consultation program to bring this to and engage with the community on how this will be put into effect. So the merits of a cat curfew we are fully supportive of. The reasons for going out on a cat curfew and the damage that cats, unrestrained cats do to wildlife are well documented, as Ms Grasso said. So yes, we do have a cat curfew. This council has adopted one and we are in the process of implementing it. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Mr Benny.
The next 3 questions are from Maria Sampi of Dandenong North. Mrs Sampi has requested to ask her own questions, so she may come forward and do so. May I ask that she asks them individually to allow the officer to respond after each question.
Thank you, Ms Sampi.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In the October City of Greater Dandenong Council News magazine on page 7, Mr Mayor, I think you might have had to sign off on this being, so maybe you didn't realise that the council magazine comes sometimes at the end of the week, but I got it during the second week, and so it was advertising the September seniors seniors dance at the Springvale Town Hall from 1 to 3:30, featuring a live band and afternoon tea, and entry was $5. Well, there's so many people that I've spoken to that didn't know anything about it because the magazine came late. So I'd like to know how many people turned up. And also the photo is taken of some seniors, but it's really the exercise group at the Jan Wilson Centre. So not much thought was put into with regard to taking, photos of seniors that are actually having a dinner dance or something like that at the Jan Wilson Centre. But I just think it's really disappointing. It should have been advertised in September for October, not to be heard on the 3rd of October, and, the magazine comes after.
Thank you, Ms Sampi. Mr Forster.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we too are disappointed that the October edition of the Council News magazine reached you late, Mrs Sampi, instead of at the start of the month as intended. Our apologies for this delay, and please be reassured that relevant council officers are reviewing the circumstances for the delivery time. One of the 5 key events organised for this year's Seniors Festival is indeed the Seniors Afternoon Dance at Springvale Hall, scheduled for Monday the 3rd of October. Despite proactive promotion of the event well in advance of the scheduled date, there was a very low number of seniors registered. Council officers engaged directly with seniors clubs and groups to encourage attendance, but the feedback we received was that post-pandemic seniors are still carefully considering the types of public events they wish to leave the house for.
No, that's wrong.
In particular, they're still feeling anxious about large group activities. They fed back that they want more fun small group outings and day trips out of their local area rather than large-style programming. Therefore, the Seniors Dance for 2022 was regrettably cancelled, but in response, council officers have amended the Seniors Festival program to include additional lunches at multiple venues throughout the South East. These lunches have had good numbers of attendance booked, and attendees have commented that they're being pleased with the changes that were made. City of Greater Dandenong Libraries are also running a number of small group activities at Dandenong and Springvale Libraries as part of the 2022 Seniors Festival, and the Victorian State Government are also offering a range of statewide Seniors Festival activities and events. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Ms Sampi.
Dawned on me that there normally is a sort of a free dance and afternoon tea at the Jane Wilson Centre as well. So, maybe incorporate it next year. I'd like to be involved. Thank you. The next question is, with regard to Heritage Hill Kindergarten, back in 2019, money was allocated to, because there's 9 teachers that park in the street. And so, we were wanting to do a car park with the tennis car area that was going to be bulldozed and built a car park there. So I'm just concerned, what's happened with that.
Mr Kearsley.
Through you, Mayor, thank you for the question. I can respond that the design of the car park was funded in 2019. The car park construction at this point in time is not funded. The concept design for the car park is complete, and we're undertaking the detailed design process. As one of the projects being completed this financial year with design, it will be considered in the 2023-2024 financial budget discussions next year. Thank you.
God.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Sampi.
So how long do those teachers have to wait? My next question is, the service road, $180,000 was allocated back in 2019. We're 3 years out of it now, and it's the opening of the service road next to Reggie's nursing home. I've asked this question before. The money was allocated and nothing's being done, and it keeps getting deferred and deferred.
Mr Kearsley.
Through you, Mayor, thank you for the question. I can advise that I've been advised that the project to open the service lane on Bakers Road was completed in August 2022. Drivers accessing the car park at the rear of the Regis Aged Care site are now able to do so without using the residential section of the service lane. The savings from this project are to be used to fund a pedestrian refuge point on Halton Road, which is nearby, which is also included in the Barry Powell Master Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley, and thank you, Ms Sampi, for your questions. Mr Benny?
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr Benny. Councillors, move on to item 4, Officers' Reports, Part 2, 4.1, Policy and Strategy, 4.1.1, Greater Dandenong City Council Annual Report. I would like to present the 2021-22 Greater Dandenong City Council Annual Report. 2021-22 was another successful year for Council, and there were many achievements for our community. A new community vision was established by our People's Panel, and a new council plan was developed to lead us over the next 4 years. In the first year implementing our new council plan, 84% of planned actions for the year were completed, with only 16% delayed. We launched a number of new strategies and plans, including the Anti-Poverty Strategy, Reconciliation Action Plan, Arts and Cultural Heritage Strategy, and Gender Equality Action Plan. A number of major capital works progressed with detailed design for the Dandenong Wellbeing Centre and planned completed for the Keysborough South Community Hub. Of the actions which were delayed, the majority were affected by COVID-19 and some of the decisions of external agencies. Those actions which have been delayed will be progressed in the current financial year, now that COVID-19 restrictions have been removed. I would like to thank my fellow councillors, our CEO John Benny, and council staff for their achievements of this year and their ongoing commitment to the City of Greater Dandenong. The annual report will be available from tomorrow on Council's website for our community to read and more about our 2021-22 achievements and the work Council has been undertaken. Now that I have presented the annual report, councillors, can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Garrard and Councillor Dark. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Councillor Garrard. Councillor Garrard.
Mayor, I'd just like to acknowledge that this is the final annual report passed down under the stewardship of our current CEO, Mr John Benny, and I'd like to acknowledge that he has left this organisation in an extremely sound financial position and in terms of high-quality delivery of services, and I'd like to acknowledge and thank him for his service over that time.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. We'll move on to 4.2 Other, 4.2.1 Audit and Risk Committee Performance Report, Biannual Appointment of Chairperson. Moved by Deputy Mayor Foster, second by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 4.2.2 Abbots Road, Dandenong South, lease to United Energy for a substation. Moved by Councillor Garrard, second by Councillor Long. Are there any questions? Councillor Garrard.
Mayor, could the relevant officer explain the purpose of the lease, please?
Ms Roberts.
Thanks, Councillor Garrard, for the question. Through you, Mayor. The purpose of the lease is for a small substation to accommodate for the traffic lights that are part of the works on the corner of Abbots Road and Taylors Road. We purchased the land for that purpose and now we'll lease the land to United Energy for that very small substation.
Thank you, Ms Roberts. Is there any further questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 4.2.3, report on matters discussed at councillor briefing sessions and pre-councillor meetings.
Happy to
Moved by
second
councillor
that.
Garrard, second by councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 4.2.4, list of registered correspondence to the Mayor and councillors. Moved by councillor Long.
Second that.
Second by councillor Formoso. Are there any questions? Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, my question is to the relevant officer. I note that we received a request from the Vice President of SEMVAC with regards to presenting at a CBS about some issues. Can we just get an update of one, how that may be occurring? I'm aware that the Vietnamese community is one of the largest in our municipality.
Mr. Benny.
Yes, and we would acknowledge the importance of SEMVAC and the Vietnamese community in Greater Dandenong. As it transpires, the Mayor and I met with 4 representatives of SEMVAC today. The consideration was that we should meet with them first in the first instance to better understand the issues that they have and to assist them to, I guess, refine the matters that they would like for Council to ultimately consider. I think it was a very positive and engaging conversation, and there are a number of matters that they have raised with us, including their current occupancy and tenure at Burden Park, a few ideas that they have around enhancing the Springvale Activity Centre, and the need that we've heard for a long period of time around an ethno-specific or culturally specific residential care facility in the Springvale area. All of those things will require a bit more work by officers, and we have undertaken to do that and report to a CBS of councillors as soon as we can in the new year, or as soon as others can in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benny. Are there any further questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 5, notice of motion. 5.1, notice of motion, number 21. Stop Hazara Genocide. Moved by councillor Garrard, second by Deputy Mayor Foster. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition?
Opposing, Mayor.
Councillor Milkovich in opposition. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the significant number of the Hazara community in our gallery tonight, representing the community who are supporting this notice of motion. Mayor, the Hazara are one of the main ethnic groups in Afghanistan, making up to 30% of the population. It's estimated there are around 65,000 Hazara in Australia and more than 12,000 in Dandenong and surrounding area. So they make up a large portion of our community, and when our community hurts, the Dandenong feels their pain. For decades, the Hazara have been the target of systematic discrimination and violence by state institutions and extremist groups such as the Taliban and the Islamic State, Khorasan. In recent years, extremist groups have targeted Hazara in their mosques, cultural and education centre, public transport and sporting clubs with complete impunity. There is a growing concern that the Hazara people are at risk of the crime of genocide. Over the past year of Taliban rule, Hazara have faced massacres, persecution, destruction of their cultural heritage, depopulation from their ancestral lands and the erasure of their identity. A recent terrorist attack on the 13th of September in 2022 which targeted the Kash Education Centre in Kabul, leaving more than 107 Hazara students, mostly girls, dead and injured. This heinous attack sparked international demonstrations. In Dandenong alone, thousands gathered, including state and federal MPs and City of Greater Dandenong councillors, to stand in solidarity with the Hazara people, calling on the global community to stop the Hazara genocide. I would just refer you to a quote from the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights, who called on May 26 for investigators into the attacks of the Hazara. He said they're becoming increasingly systematic in nature and reflect elements of an organised policy that thus bearing hallmarks of crime against humanity. The Hazara are calling on the City of Greater Dandenong to write to relevant state and federal ministers to formally recognise and condemn the dramatic escalation of genocidal violence against the Hazara people in Afghanistan and actively support international measures to investigate and prevent such violence, including through the relevant United Nations bodies and mechanisms, to convene an emergency roundtable with the Australian Hazara community to hear about the grave concerns that the Australian Hazara community hold for their family members and relatives in Afghanistan, and to commit to a 20,000 emergency additional humanitarian intake from Afghanistan, focusing on at-risk groups such as the Hazara people and granting permanent protection to Hazara refugees currently on temporary protection visas.
Thank you, Councillor Gerard. Deputy Mayor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to acknowledge our community members from the Hazara community here. Thank you for your presence here. It is very much noted and very much welcome. Thank you. I can't add too much more to what Councillor Garrard has said, but we know, the history tells us that the Hazara community have been victims of genocide for at least a century, and this has increased significantly, particularly just in this past year, with 700 Hazara people killed in 13 attacks, and this was identified by the Human Rights Watch just recently. Today is UN Day. The theme is to end racism and build peace. And I think the least that we can do at this council is to support this motion to be a part of peace. To say, stop Hazara genocide. The UK Parliament has also had an inquiry into the Hazara concerns, and they identify that there is serious risk of genocide for the Hazara community. So to oppose this opposes peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Foster. In opposition, Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me start off by saying that I, as a war refugee, in no way, shape or form oppose peace. What I oppose, though, is political virtue signalling, in the sense that, and I will only, due to the sensitive nature of this issue, I will only stick to the facts that I could find, and some of those links were provided to me by Councillor Garrard kindly, and I have actually dug a little bit deeper to work out as to what is going on, because the Western media, unfortunately, as good as it sounds, is not always the most reliable source of information, as we found out in the past couple of years. So I will stick to the facts only. I will tell you my factual reasons as to why I'm opposing this. The main one is that we, in a sense, should not be labelling crimes, as horrific as they might be, which I've noticed in the notice of motion has changed ever so slightly to violence. We should not label them as genocide, because we are not the responsible body to mark those crimes as a genocide. There is a body that not governs us all, but actually does execute these sort of crime, that does execute these sort of, resolutions, I should say, yes, and which is United Nations. Now, I have actually read the last report that United Nations, unfortunately, has merely just condemned the last attack, which I'm not joining them in that. I think it's horrific that people are getting killed. And like I said, someone from a war-torn country like I am myself, I do oppose violence and war because it's costing us dearly. However, for us, sitting some 10,000 kilometres away to declare something a genocide without actually visiting the place, I think it's not supported by the facts. So that is the first and foremost reason. The second reason is that in one of the Councillor Garrard's links, I've noticed that it's not just the Taliban that was accused of actual murdering of Hazara people in Afghanistan. However, there are other ethnicities which also co-inhabit with all of us and Hazaras in the city of Greater Dandenong, and I would not want to bring a division from 10,000 kilometres away right in the heart of our community unnecessarily. I understand we need to do something. However, labelling something a genocide when it hasn't been proven or passed through the United Nations resolution is not something that I'm happy to support. So that is the second reason why I'm opposing this. The third reason that I'm opposing this notice of motion is due to the point number 3, which is to commit 20,000 emergency additional humanitarian intake of from Afghanistan focusing on high-risk groups. I understand there is a need, and I've come from a war-torn country. However, I'm all for bringing people in here. However, not with a rush decision. I'm all for bringing people here after the proper checks and balances have been done. Now, I, as a migrant in 1996, applied for a visa to come to Australia and have waited, and I wasn't in my home. I was some thousands of kilometres away from my home, being prosecuted, and I was waiting inside the refugee camp. I waited for close to 2 years to come to Australia. So if I can wait for 2 years, or anyone else for that matter, then proper checks and balances by the Department of Immigration have to be honoured, and that's the third reason why I'm opposing this notice of motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Milkovich. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, there's no question that there is, in any sort of war that occurs, to create disharmony is a substantial issue, not only for the groups who are involved, but also for the wider community as well. And as Councillor Foster has touched on as well, we do want peace, and this council has accords with the groups that we have to discuss harmony and those sort of groups that are involved to ensure that the community acts and lives harmonious, that there's free from any issues and discrimination, and that's something this council works very, very hard against. The issue that I have with this notice of motion is the contention about whether or not it is a genocide, and we need to tread very, very carefully. The reason behind the concerns that I've got, that the rules that were brought in by the United Nations in order to codify what is classified as a genocide requires a vote on the floor of the members of the Security Treaty and the members in the United Nations. Now, the UN Special Rapporteur, as Councillor Garrard mentioned, has made some commentary about it. They have raised concerns. They have asked for special investigators to go in and have a look, and 100% something that I think should occur. And I think that it's something that needs to be properly investigated before we go around labelling things like a genocide. The issue by labelling everything a genocide every time that there's an incident in a war zone, and I'm aware that there's been many conflicts both in the areas of Pakistan and Afghanistan more recently, but there's been in East Timor and many different countries over the years, is that there's been accusations of genocide. The real genocides that have been ratified and codified by the United Nations are ones like the Holocaust, where millions of Jews were killed and slaughtered on trains, sent to gas chambers, mass killings were taken place. And that was something that was codified and ratified by the United Nations. More recently, the Rwanda genocide, something that occurred as well. Now, there's a lot of outlier groups who do go out and do make commentary about whether it is or isn't, but it's not for this council, as a local government authority, as somebody who has got nothing to do with the foreign issues that are there, to be declaring whether or not something is or isn't a genocide. It is a role of the United Nations, of the delegates that we have, and I know the Australian government is once again pushing for a seat on the UN Security Council. It is something for them to deal with, not something for a local government authority. So whilst I understand the plights of war, and they are very, very bad from what does occur, at the end of the day, I cannot support a motion which is factually incorrect, and it makes the representations that there is a genocide occurring. Until such time as it's ratified by the United Nations, it's not a genocide, and that's why I cannot support it.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Are there any further speakers? If there's no further speakers, right to reply, Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. There is no doubt that what is happening at the moment is genocidal in nature, and what is happening in Afghanistan to the Hazara people fits the criteria under the Convention. There is no doubt about that. We are not creating conflict within Dandenong. Other groups have also been targeted in Afghanistan. We're not saying they haven't. What we're saying is there is a deliberate and systematic targeting of the Hazara. This is patently been shown to be true. We have numerous evidence of enormous atrocities happening with more and more frequency in Afghanistan. There is no doubt that what is happening is genocidal in nature. We are not declaring a genocide here. We are not the body to do that. The United Nations will do that, and there are petitions afoot to have that process. That process is in train. What we are saying right here today is that we stand in solidarity. We recognise that there is genocidal actions taking place right now, today, and the concern of this community is real and palpable, and they are the least we can do as a local government authority is to recognise their pain and to ask that the relevant ministers that can push for greater recognition, that can actually elevate this at a national level. We ask that they work within their powers to do that. So what we are doing is advocating for our community who are suffering and who are every day concerned about their family and what is happening to them, and that at any moment another atrocity could happen to their loved ones back in Afghanistan. And the very least that we can do is acknowledge that, and we are not creating division within our local government authority. We are actually acknowledging the pain and suffering of in excess of 12,000 members of our community. There is no doubt that what is happening is genocidal in nature.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Councillor O'Reilly, Deputy Mayor Foster, Councillor Garrard, Councillor Wong, Councillor Mehdi, Councillor Formosa, Councillor Tan, Councillor Lim. All those against, Councillor Milkovich and Councillor Dark. Motion is carried 8-2. Move on to the next item, councillors. 5.2, notice of motion number 22, establishment of the South East Council's Biodiversity Network. Moved by Councillor Garrard. Second by Deputy Mayor Foster. Are there any questions? Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry. Thank you, Mayor. Could a mover please just explain briefly as to what is the aim to achieve, or that this notice of motion is trying to achieve, and the principles of how it's going to work? Thank you.
Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. So the purpose of this notice of motion is to signal to the region, to other councils within our South East region, of our intention to support a regional biodiversity network, and to our intention to work in partnership with other LGAs to support and enhance the biodiversity of our southeast corridor. As you know, biodiversity does not recognise LGA boundaries, and that it's imperative that we work in collaboration with our neighbouring councils. And so by passing this notice of motion today, we are signalling our intention to support a network were that network to be established.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Councillor Milkovich.
Just a further question, just to explain. How many councils do participate in this, and how many have actually voted in favour of this sort of action, please?
Councillor Garrard.
I understand up to 5 councils have now voted in favour, and there are others pending, and by the end of November we will know the full extent of the degree of collaboration that the councils are willing to support.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard.
Thank you.
Councillor Milkovich, thank you. Any further questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Item 6, reports from councillors, delegated members and councillor questions. Sorry? You want to go first? I'm just going to make a statement before. Councillors, as you know, this will be my last meeting as chairing this meeting tonight, and also Deputy Mayor Foster's last meeting as Deputy Mayor. So it's been a great honour to serve this council for the last 12 months. I'd start by also acknowledging everybody in this room. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I'd like to say what an honour and privilege it has been to serve as Mayor of the City of Greater Dandenong for the past 12 months. I would like to thank my fellow councillors for the confidence they showed in electing me as Mayor. This was my 5th term as Mayor of this great city, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time representing council out in the community. Like many of our residents, I migrated to Australia. I was young when my family came to Greater Dandenong, and I've called this city home for most of my life. I am very passionate about the city and our community. I would particularly like to thank our departing CEO, Mr. John Benny, who has served this community for 16 years. Next month, he will retire from Greater Dandenong City Council, and I would like to wish him well and all the best in his retirement and the next phase of his life. It has been a real pleasure working with you, John, and there is no doubt you have left our city in a stronger position. Thank you. I would also like to thank Joe Thorne, Executive Assistant to the Mayor and Councillors. Some would say I could have been lost without Joe's assistance and organisation skills. She really supports us all so well. I would like to thank my fellow councillors who have supported me over the past 12 months and the community members I have met and worked with over the past year. I've had a very busy year as Mayor, and together we have achieved some great things for our community. Please indulge me as I mention some highlights. The effects of COVID pandemic have continued to affect the whole world, and Greater Dandenong is no exception. Council has continued to support individuals and businesses most affected, and we will continue to help our community to recover post-pandemic and look towards a bright and positive future. While the Springvale Community Hub opened to the public in 2020, we held our long-awaited public celebration earlier this year. In Springvale, we also recently celebrated the completion of the Springvale Boulevard project, continuing to build the brand of Sensational Springvale. We also invested in detailed designs and planning work for the Keysborough South Community Hub, the Dandenong Community Hub, and the Dandenong Wellness Centre and the redevelopment of the Noble Park Aquatic Centre. Over the past 12 months, I have overseen a number of policies and strategies adopted to make our city a greater place to live, work, play, and including the anti-poverty strategy, the innovative Reconciliation Action Plan, the Arts and Cultural Heritage and Strategy, and the Greater Dandenong Library Strategy. I have also loved advocating for this community. In particular, the Back Your Neighbour campaign has continued to call for more support for people seeking asylum. Earlier this year, we travelled to Canberra to push our messaging with those who have the power to make the difference. With such a culturally diverse community, this is one particular campaign that means so much to the people of Greater Dandenong, and I'm proud to speak up on behalf of the most vulnerable members of our community. Everything we have achieved over the past 12 months has been done together. I have great pride and admiration for our community who have shown resilience over the past few challenging years. I would also like to thank my Deputy, Eden Foster, who has served as Deputy Mayor over the last 12 months, and thank her for filling in while I was on holiday for a month in Europe. You did a fantastic job, and I'd like to say thank you, and I'm sure you'll get with this experience, you'll make sure that bigger and better things will come. So I really appreciate you standing by my side and navigating this last 12 months. I look forward to welcoming the new Mayor and Deputy Mayor as well as the new CEO to Council, and I look forward to another rewarding year serving the people of Greater Dandenong. Thank you. I'll go to Deputy Mayor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. It's going to be strange saying that for the not last time. I'm sure there might be other opportunities, but yeah, it will be strange not saying Mayor Mehmedi. But good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank my fellow councillors for allowing me to perform the role of Deputy Mayor over the past year. I would also like to thank you, Mayor, Councillor Jim Mamedi, who has been a great support during this time and has given me opportunities to step up and taken leave so I could do that, but also been a great source of advice and information as well. Thank you. It has been actually quite lovely to work with you, Jim, and to get a sense of how much this community means to you. We both share a passion for Greater Dandenong, and I've had such a great year working with the people of this city. I want to thank the CEO, John Benny, the executive team and all staff who have supported me throughout this period. I particularly want to congratulate John on his retirement and wish him all the best for the years ahead. A well-deserved retirement. When I began my term as Deputy Mayor, I set out to bring a sense of fairness, equality and compassion to the role, and I do hope that that has come through. There are many challenges that affect our community, and I believe as a council we have shown these qualities when supporting the individuals and businesses that call our city home. I am proud to be a part of a city that recognises and supports some of its most vulnerable residents. Across the past year, we have worked to address safety concerns in and around the Hemming Street precinct, and positive initiatives such as coffee events with local police and councillors and public artwork have fostered a strong sense of community and given people the opportunity to raise their concerns directly with authorities. I like to think we're a bit more than roads, rubbish and rates. Last week, we also launched the anti-poverty strategy, amplifying the voices of some of our most vulnerable community members. This strategy recognises poverty is a real and complex issue for our community and seeks to invest time and resources into lifting our whole community up and extending opportunities to each and every resident. It was a proud moment to attend the Sustainability Festival at Springvale Community Hub. Climate action is a responsibility of all, not just organisations like Council. So to share this message with our passionate community was amazing, and I'm quite glad to see that our notice of motion today on establishing a South East Council's Biodiversity Network has also come up. I also attended the Springvale Snowfest, which returned after a COVID hiatus. This award-winning festival attracts tens of thousands of people to Springvale and is a beautiful celebration of winter and our city's wonderful food offerings. And to see all those families out in the community connecting and having joy was a real joy for myself. But also to see so many come from wider than our municipality tops it. I also recently attended the opening of Viv's Place in Dandenong. For those not familiar with this establishment, it provides permanent housing for up to 60 women and 140 children escaping family violence and homelessness. Viv's Place offers access to services which will help these families find safety and get a fresh start, and is a first for Australia, something that our community can be so proud of. I grew up in this city, but the past year has helped me learn more about the people and the places who make Greater Dandenong such a great place to live, people here included. This role has helped me appreciate the opportunities that this city offers to all comers. And I would like to thank everyone who supported me to be the best Deputy Mayor I could be. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Foster. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I suppose first since it started, I think this tradition started in the last 12 months as well. Now, we usually do this at the mayoral election, but instances of the last 12 months has been very good working with you as the Mayor and Councillor Foster as Deputy Mayor. The opportunities, I suppose, that this council's gone through coming out of COVID and being a lead in organisation to the point where we are now, whilst we all know that Mr Benny's the true champion behind the scenes, and he'll argue he's not, but he is. Certainly there has been a lot of tough challenges. The budget has been very, very tough coming out of COVID, getting people back into the workforce, getting the services delivered in an environment that's changed since we had COVID, is something that has taken a lot of time, a lot of stress, a lot of leadership to be able to get to the point to where we are today. There's certainly, from Council's perspective, and it's been, I would say, a pretty good 12 months, everything seems to have run pretty smoothly except the number 8 car park. but there'll be more from that from Councillor Lim in his questions, no doubt. And it's certainly been very, very good coming into the council, working cohesively to ensure that we achieve all of the goals and leading the council back to a good financial path. My first question this evening, I've received some correspondence from Ms Reimers in Keysborough to do with some large gum trees at the back of her property. I've raised the gum trees multiple times in the past. I believe she knows Director Kersley and his extension line direct. To do with the build-up of gum leaves, the branches overshadowing on the Melbourne Water easement that overshadows the property. I've received an email again today that I'll forward on shortly to do with the issues affecting the site. The trees have basically grown. There's a larger branch coming over her property and causing more damage. If we could please have our arborist have a look at that with the director, because she's personally asked for Paul, that would be greatly appreciated.
Mr Keasley.
Thank you, Councillor, through you, Mayor. Yes, I am aware of that. I think I did think I saw a response to that maybe a couple of weeks ago, but I'll certainly take that on board, and I'm happy to meet the resident and the arborist down on site, and we can have a chat about what can be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Keasley. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, my next second question is on behalf of the Second Springvale Scout Group. They have grown drastically in the size of their membership. A lot of their members have come from the Keysborough area, and the growth has led to them looking at what options are available in terms of an extension to the rear of the property. They've been talking to Rebecca, I want to say Albersi maybe. I'm not sure to which directorate she's from, but if we could please just have the relevant director make contact with the Springvale Scout Group, then unsure about the best plan forward in terms of how they can go about their development and getting the extension done that they need.
Mr Forster.
Thank you, Councillor, and through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I'm aware that there's been some correspondence with Rebecca Albers, who sits in our community facilities team, and can certainly reach out through her and touch base with the Scout Group and help guide them and advise them as to what their options are.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Councillor Dark. Thank you, Councillor Dark. Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to join Councillor Dark in thanking yourself for your service in the past 12 months. As a Mayor, great leadership you've shown to us as councillors, and also Deputy Mayor, who has replaced you while you were away on holidays, enjoying the sunshine in Europe. She's done a fantastic job. So thank you both for all your hard work and for your guidance. I've got just a couple of questions. Actually, one is a question, one is more of a comment. I had a few residents ring up and ask me, when will retractable bollards at Dandenong High School be re-energised to work as intended? I understand that residents are saying that it's cost a fair bit of money and they've been sort of decommissioned a while ago due to some damage or water issues or whatever, and they're just sitting there idle while people are putting them up. So any news on that, please?
Mr Keasley.
Thank you, Councillor. I can only provide part of an answer. In discussing this matter with the manager and the officers, probably some 2 years ago now, they identified a significant cost in replacing them. I don't quite know what that meant, but it would appear that it is several hundreds of thousands of dollars to do. And at the end of the day, the crossing of a road is important, but we feel that we've adequately dealt with that in this temporary capacity. What I will do is take the part on notice with regards to identifying, if we can, the actual nature of the cost and whether or not the ongoing issues we can discuss with the principal.
Councillor Long, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, when we first decided, or it was decided, that we would have the bollards, I advocated for pedestrian lights that would be pressed, and I still think that would have been a better idea. The residents around there lost a lot. They lost the bus that used to go up that street, and they're not very happy with the bollards. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Councillor Garrard.
Mayor, I sit on the council of the Dandenong, the school council. The bollards are working fine. They're in action. They're absolutely working fine. There is no issue with them.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Garrard. Councillor Milkovich.
Not the retractable bollards. They're putting bollards every day, every morning during school hours, which was an afterthought after the ones that cost an absolute fortune were installed. These ones that they're using at the moment are like just a temporary solution under the exclamation mark. They're not the bollards that I think cost in excess of $150,000, as far as I can remember, that you mentioned, that are now just sitting idle. So it's in essence, it's $150,000 of ratepayers' money that is just sitting there useless. So I'm not sure why that is happening. No, the bollards are there, but they're not retractable as intended. So that's why, if they've become working the last couple of days, then I stand corrected, but I don't think they have. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Milkovich.
Second question I'd like to ask, if possible, due to the nature of the weather that we had, and it was extremely wet for the past 6 months, I should almost say, and the potholes are just reappearing on all our roads everywhere. Is it possible, and I'm reporting them as I go along, and I'm sure everyone else is reporting them because they can be quite dramatic and quite large. Is it possible for like a special, not a task force, but a couple of officers to actually inspect one of the larger, more used roads that we maintain? I'm not talking the Department of Transport roads, but like Gladstone Road, Brady Road, Jackson's Road if it is, or whatever, and just to go through it and try and minimise the number of potholes, because they're really appearing, they're like mushrooms. They fill one, another one's 50 metres down the road, and it's constant. It's just an absolute ongoing nightmare. Some of them are actually quite deep. So I was just wondering, is it possible to actually get a couple of guys on it to try and sort of sanitise the problem, just sort of, make it a bit more easier for us to use the roads? Thank you.
Mr. Keasley.
Thank you, Councillor. And yes, this is an ongoing and emerging issue, mainly dealing with the situation of the weather, which hasn't helped with regards to the ongoing issue with potholes. We certainly have encouraged, and we actually have our staff going about inspections on council roads. The issue we then have is the timing of it with regards to what remedial work we can then do. We have that for a contractor to do that. That is then subject to a whole range of weather conditions and cool nights. We're hoping that the weather from now on will actually leave us alone so we can actually get out and do some of that work. The question then is it a temporary fix or is it a more permanent fix? And that is the issue in terms of not just council's ongoing budget. We have a budget with regards to these works, and that's perhaps a matter that we could address in a councillor briefing in early 2023 with regards to how are we endeavouring to deal with this issue. It's no different to the issue of impact on trees and flooding with regards to storms that occur. This is an ongoing one that we're facing, and I think the recent announcements by the state government where they're intending to spend millions and millions of dollars dealing with this particular issue, it may well mean that council would have to look at not those sorts of dollars, but certainly addressing that issue ongoing.
Thank you, Mr. Keasley. Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you, Mayor. That's it from me.
Thank you. Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Mayor. Just first of all, I'd just like to thank Mayor Jim Mameti and also Deputy Mayor Eden Foster. Thank you for your hard work for the last 12 months. And you work tirelessly, honestly, especially the Mayor, non-stop every day. Yeah, that's a great one that I really admire you, and I also have known Jim for over 10 years. You are very closely to Springvale community, to various association committee in Springvale. Thanks for that. And also, I would like to thank you too, though, for your great contribution and tremendous work, to our community and our city. Yeah, and finally, I just like to say a little bit about Mr. John Benny, the CEO that I have known him probably around 10 years as well. He worked very tirelessly as well, and we had a very good relationship with him, especially in Springvale, that I need help. He's always come to Springvale personally with of his team, and also his hard work to try to steer up our city during this difficult time, especially the pandemic time. Yeah, thank you so much for your contribution. And on Monday, the 10th of October, I had a meeting with Mr. Paul Keasley and also Mr. Kevin Van Boxdale regarding to Springvale Chamber of Commerce and also Traders Association. And on Tuesday, the 11th of October, I already attended Tai Chi workshop for senior at Springvale Community Hub. And I would like to thank you to the neighborhood house that sent the team from Mandarin Music Group to perform and also to teach our people. And on Wednesday, the 12th of October, I attended Sabah AGM dinner with Mayor, Councillor, MP, and the Premier. And on Thursday, the 13th of October, I attended Southeast Business Award hosted by Greater Dadong Chamber of Commerce with Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and also some Member of Parliament as well. On Friday, the 14th of October, I got invitation from Monash University. That's a great one. And they invited me on under the name of Councillor of City of Dandenong, also as Monash alumni, and plus also a proprietor of Lim Pharmacy. It's a great one that I had a chance to meet a lot of my lecturers from 1984 to 1986, my registrar, Pharmacy Registrar, 1984 to 87, and he got my registrar, Alistair Lloyd, AO. He have what we call a conferral with an honorable doctorate. That's a very good one as well. And not just that, we would like to inform everyone that this is our country, very proud of Monash University Faculty of Pharmacy, Pharmaceutical Science and Pharmacology, because our Faculty of Pharmacy now is #1 in the world, followed by Harvard University, #2, and #3 is Oxford. And very privileged, and when I was a student, probably roughly around the top 5 all the time. This now it become #1 in 2022. That's very proud for Australia. And also on Sunday the 16th, I organized a Buddhist ceremony. The idea is just want to finish all the shrine, the big shrine that on the temple along Clark Road. The ceremony we call Katina with some member of Buddhist Association. We raised over $110,000 on that day. And also the same day, I went to what we call Diwali Mala Festival, a festival of light, hosted by the Vasta Pujam. Yeah, it's a very exciting and lively one with Deputy Mayor and also Mayor as well, and plus some councillor. I forgot all about the name already, sorry about that. On the 18th of October, on a Tuesday, I had a chance to provide health seminar to Cambodian Elderly Association, because they really need that my help to give them some guidelines about what we call health and well-being for senior, and also how to make them happy to get to avoid mental health. It means that try to teach them how they hack the 4 happy chemical in the brain. And also on the 19th of October, I attended Anti-Poverty Weeks at Harmony Square. It's a great opportunity to meet so many organizations that our city provided. That's a lot of people, I believe that in my ward, I don't think many people know much about our services. It's a great services, under 65, over 65, the Good Shepherd, that we can borrow money from 2,000 to 5,000 without interest at all. And then so many more, and especially I really appreciate Wellspring for Women that provide food for free on that day. And not just that, I had a bit of a chance to talk to the police, police as well. They give a lot of answers they're asking for. That's good that I can inform my resident in Springvale Central. And on Thursday, the 20th of October, I got invited by Department of Veteran Affairs, Freedom Day Club, and also RSL of Dandenong and Cranbourne, and Dandenong and Casey, I think, is that right? I can't remember exactly. Yeah, they asked me to provide a health seminar because that one we call Veteran Week, Healthy Eating. It's just very exciting, and they're very happy to hear whatever I said. And they request me to come another time. In that day, they have a representative from VDA, Department of Veteran Affairs, Karen Khan, Mr. Vladimir Nagomi. He represent Veteran of Welfare Advocate and Coordinator of RSL Dandenong and Cranbourne, and also Peter Farmer, President of Freedom Day Club, Deputy President, and so many more. On Friday, the 21st of October, I also had a good tour with Mr. Kevin Van Boxtel and Mr. Greg Sinquagrana, and we had a good discussion about Springvale Activity Center. We went from place to place to discuss from multi-level car park and so on and so on. It's a great outcome, and hopefully we're going to achieve so many things in the near future. And that's all for me. And finally, I would like to present the True Cookbook. The True Cookbook to the Mayor. The True Cookbook is gave from a friend of mine that he came here from Cambodia to study PhD, and he finished that. He got a high position in Cambodia and came back to give me the 2 cookbooks. I said, oh, I don't know what to cook. I know how to cook myself anyway, but to give to the library. So for today, I would like to present to Mayor these 2 cookbooks. One is for Dandenong Library. One is for Springvale Library. The book we call Best Asian Cookbook. The name of the book is The Taste of Cambodia. Oh, The Taste of Angkor, actually, Angkor Wat probably everyone know. And this book won the award 2021. We call the best cookbook, we call Best Asian Cookbook. The best of the best Gourmand World Cookbook Award 2021. Thank you. I would like to present this award to, or this cookbook to Mayor Chimameti.
Sean's our official for cover.
Okay.
Open your one too.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lynn.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Councillor Lynn. Councillor Tan. Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Councillor Tan. Can't hear you, Councillor Tan. Give us one moment. We can't hear you, Councillor Tan. Please. Is she on mute? Yes, we can hear you now, Councillor Tan.
Thank you. Firstly, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Mayor, Councillor Chimameti and Deputy Mayor Eden Foster for your service for the last 12 months. I know we normally do this on the mayoral election day, but yeah, thank you for your service. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. John Benny, our CEO for the last 16 years. You've done a great job, John, and we'll miss you, especially your great support to me. I'm sure to other councillors and to other directors as well. So we'll miss you, especially your hard work the last 16 years. You did a great job for the City of Greater Dandenong, especially. You know, we've been through a lot. You've covered the last 2 years, and you managed the whole council staff, especially all the directors, managed to keep our council keep going. Especially if you look at this annual budget, you can see there's a lot of stuff that's been completed. All the major projects, if you look back in the last 12 months, you got the Springvale Community Hub costed 65 million. That's completed, and we also have Ross Reserve or Ability Playground of like over 4 million. And upcoming, we've got the gymnasium, which is about 6.9 million. So it's going to be opening on in this year, so December. And we've got the Ross Reserve Sport Pavilions, which is about 9 million. That will be completed this year as well. And I just want to say congratulations and thank you to state government as well for their support, especially with the Novel Park Revitalisation Board. I believe so far they have contributed about 3.5 million to our city, especially about 21 projects being completed. And if you look back the last 12 months with the Novel Park Revitalisation Board, so we've done a lot with the activity centre. So about 1.17 million for the Douglas Street streetscapes being completed. Council also purchased a lot of lands, which is for office space for our community. So there's a lot of pocket parks already been upgraded as well with the 2 Brain Streets coming up, and you've got a few new parks that's coming up as well. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, especially to the CEO, all the directors and all the staff for making it happen this far. For my question tonight, through you, Mayor, so just regarding to a question related to last year, just regarding from a Department of Transport. So So this is to do with but then providing critical advice and review council multimodal, which is multimodal transport infrastructure in place. So that's to do with any black spot program, any dangerous, roundabout or traffic that need to be reviewed. Do you have any update? This is the last update I've got from the officer since August 2021. So we're waiting for them to get back to us on this program. Do you have any update yet?
Mr. Keasley.
Thank you, Councillor, and through you, Mayor. The place and movement strategy is generally one that DOT are involved in every project that we liaise with them on. They are one particular department within the Department of Transport that look at this particular focus. So I can say that we engage with them on a wide variety of projects, whether they be road-based or pedestrian-based or bicycle-based, and the advice we get is from the place and movement section, along with others, including, the technical engineering advice and those sorts of things. With regards to Black Spot, I think there was some advice provided to Council recently, and I'm happy to recirculate that in terms of that's a federal funding program that we've received some monies in a number of wards, and we would be expecting some updates with regards to the recent letters that we've written to DOT, especially the one that is in your particular ward, which is the Douglas and Heatherton Road request for the removal of the roundabout and introduction of traffic lights. So there's a number of things that are on the agenda, and there are a number of councillors in the room that would no doubt be aware of those that we're trying to get DOT to acknowledge and fund. So I could perhaps provide an update as we go into the end of this calendar year on the whole range of those projects, because they are also part of our advocacy strategy to state government with the impending election in the next 6 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keasley. Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Paul. Also, I just want to provide some updates. This is all the events I attended to the last 2 weeks. So on the 12th of October, I attended the Zaba AGM and the launch of the 2023 Springvale Lunar New Year festival that to celebrate the Year of the Rabbit. So I just want to say congratulations to Zaba committees for their great work, especially they had lost a few of their committees over COVID due to a few that's passed away. So it's just that consolidation to them as well. And also I attended the Noble Park Community Art Show opening night, which is held on the 14th of October at the Noble Park Community Centre. I just want to say congratulations and thanks for their great work, especially to the communities, to the school, to the judge and to all the students, to all the participation, and congratulations to the winners. That's all from me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Councillor Formosa.
Thanks, Mayor. It's going to be strange not having you in that chair as of our next meeting, so thank you so much for all of your guidance and your leadership within Council the past 12 months, and the entire time that I've been on Council. You've been an excellent advocate for this city and always a great role model, and thank you for everything that you've done, and of course, Deputy Mayor Eden Foster for doing such a fabulous job when she did step in, and all of your work and contribution throughout the past 12 months. Speaking of gratitude and thanks, the recent flood and storm events have obviously been pretty devastating for our state and across the country. I would really like to thank our council for responding so well in these recent events. Luckily, we weren't as hit as hard as some of the others. So a huge shout out to my second home, SES Greater Dandenong Unit, who have done an incredible job protecting not only our municipality but also heading out across the state, in particular leading a task force to help the flood response in Echuca. Massive, massive thanks to all our members. I'm so honoured to be a volunteer for the SES, and I highly recommend anybody that's interested in helping the community in becoming a volunteer that they
put their hand up and join SES, and any of those that are in the chambers tonight. I really would love to see some new members coming out, because it is really rewarding when you get to help some of the most vulnerable people in our community during the most devastating of times. And then not only that, during all of this chaos, members also held a Bunnings sausage sizzle in Dandenong South on Sunday the 16th of October. So throughout all of this going on, they still took the time out to grill a couple of sausages and sell almost $2,000 worth, which in actual fact went towards My Room Children's Cancer Charity, which is obviously a charity that's very close to my heart. So I really thank them from the bottom of my heart for doing that and all the work that they do in our community. And I really, really hope that we can advocate for our Greater Dandenong SES units to get as many members as possible within our community. And another thanks is obviously to our, sorry, Mr. Benny, I almost forgot to thank you for all of your incredible service and making this city so wonderful, and your guidance and all of your contributions, and wish you all the very, very best for what's ahead. And hope that you don't screen our calls when we still call you for some advice in the future. So thank you as well, and good luck with everything that you do from here on. And another question that I do have for the relevant officers is, I've had a couple of calls from some residents that have noticed that they've been receiving some tickets, as they like to call them, or tags on their bins, suggesting that they may have placed things inside their bin that shouldn't be in the particular bin. So obviously I understand we as a council are trying to really eradicate people doing the wrong thing with our recycling and rubbish bins because of our landfill issues, obviously. But some residents feel that they're unfairly ticketed because it's not them that's actually placing the incorrect rubbish in the bin. So how are we monitoring that, and what are we going to do if someone feels that they've unfairly received a ticket on their bin? So if the relevant officer could just please respond to that.
Mr. Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor, and through you, Mayor. One of the particular reasons to do an audit such as this is to actually identify people who do misuse other people's bins. What I would encourage people to do is to just contact us if that is the case, if they do find a tag on their bin, but they do understand that perhaps the item was not one that they put in, because we can possibly identify a small group of people in terms of that residential street that may be impacted by somebody doing the wrong thing, in which case we could go and have a chat and educate them with regards to how best not to do that. So I would either advise that they contact a customer service if they do get a tag, or perhaps if, Councillor, if you know in this example who they are, please pass on their details and we can get someone from our education waste unit to go out and have a chat to them about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kearsley. Councillor Formosa.
Thanks, Mr. Kearsley. I appreciate that, and I'll let the residents know. That's all from me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Formosa. Councillor Long.
I would like to thank and congratulate Councillor Mehmeti for a great year as Mayor and spokesperson for the Great Dandenong Council. I'd also like to congratulate and thank Councillor Foster, for our Deputy Mayor, for being a great role model for the women in our community. Mr. Benny, although this is not your last council meeting, I'd like to thank you for the support you have given me over the last 14 years. On your last council meeting, I will have more to say, so maybe you should be worried.
All the skeletons come out of the closet.
These are some of the events that I've attended since my last formal meeting. On the 11th of October, I attended an online meeting with the Road Safe South East Committee. 12th of October, I attended an online meeting with the Taylors Road Landfill Committee. 13th of October, I attended the South East Business Awards dinner hosted by the Greater Dandenong Chamber of Commerce. The award winners were Business Citizen winner, Aftercare. Building and Construction winner, ASM Chiltech. They were also the winner of the Overall Business Excellence Award. Micro Business winner, Big Little Brush. Environmental and Sustainability winner, Brick Lane Brewery Company. They also won the Leisure, Tourism and Wellbeing Award. Employee Engagement winner, Energy Australia. Business Innovation winner, Infinite Automation. Professional Service winner. This award has two winners, Medical Edge Australia Proprietary Limited and Ultra Health Medical. Community Impact winner, Personalised Support Service. Advanced Manufacturing winner, Roofing and Sheet Metal Centre. Retail and Wholesale Service winner, Wagalot. Congratulations must go to all these winners. On the 18th of October, I attended an online meeting for the Dandenong Day Nursery Incorporated. 19th of October, I attended a photo shoot with Councillor Garrard outside the Breast Green van in Palm Plaza. The 20th of October, I attended a high tea at Emerson Special School. The theme was Winter Wonderland, and the students once again excelled in producing a wonderful afternoon tea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to thank both yourself and Deputy Mayor Eden. I thank you for your dedication, I thank you for your commitment and your professionalism, which reflected so well on councillors and the council per se. So I thank you both so much for your leadership and for the past year. I would also like to acknowledge, you spoke about the Mayoral Task Force. There's two important people here tonight that have contributed so much to the work that we have achieved this year for the Mayoral Task Force. I'd like to acknowledge Sajid and Sajira, she just woke up there, for their tremendous efforts in trooping around to MPs in Canberra, all over Melbourne. They have attended meetings, given up hours of their time to advocate on behalf of the refugee community per se and the asylum seeker community per se, but also for their own community as well. Their level of professionalism and commitment is astounding, and I thank them so much. We would not have achieved all the tremendous outcomes in the Mayoral Task Force this year without your tireless efforts, so I thank you very much. I would also, in terms of refugees, like to acknowledge the work of the Friends of Refugees. We attended, Councillor O'Reilly and I attended the AGM, and wish to acknowledge the tremendous work they do in supporting with material aid, in particular the refugee and asylum seeker community, the enormous amount they do with so little, and the extraordinary volunteer body, and the wonderful leadership of Cherie Sami, which I think should be acknowledged. I would like to acknowledge the suffering and the really difficult time the people of Victoria are going through the unprecedented floods that are occurring in the central and northern parts of Victoria. My family have lived there over 150 years. There is no one with living memory of floods of this calibre. This is unprecedented and is what we are going to experience more of with climate change, and I wish to acknowledge what they're going through and stand in solidarity with the local councils that are fighting so hard for those communities, and as was said before, the efforts of the SES and the volunteers is tremendous. One of the reasons many of the houses are being inundated is because they have built on flood-prone areas. My first question tonight, through you, Mayor, is about the City of Greater Dandenong. One of the reasons that the houses are being built on inappropriate flood risk floodplains is because the councils are using outdated data or fragmented data. Can the relevant officer assure us that the City of Greater Dandenong is making planning decisions based on real-time data that is in its entirety, so that we are not making the same mistakes that other municipalities are?
Mr Bosman.
Mr Mayor, thank you through yourself to Councillor Garrard. You use the word real-time data. I'm not too sure that real-time data is available in this particular category of data, Councillor. But what I can tell you that is when assessing planning applications, they are referred to Council's assets team for comment before a decision is made, and any recommendations received are included into the proposal by the applicant either during the application processes via conditions or on the permit itself that is granted. We have confirmed with our assets team that the data used is accurate and is the most up-to-date information available. Council has received the latest ARI rainfall data, which is based on the 2019 updates. It's the latest data that anybody can get access to, which also factors in climate change. This new ARI data is used for all new flood modelling activities. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. My second question is regarding the continual odours within the Keysborough South Ward and the concern the residents have. Can we get an update on the consultation that is planned between the residents in the Keysborough South area, the EPA and the Council, and an update on the mapping exercise that has been undertaken?
Mr Bosman.
Mr Mayor, it's very good timing through yourself to Councillor Garrard. Council and EPA officers are meeting tomorrow to discuss the next steps in terms of organising the public consultation with the Keysborough community around the whole matter of odour issues, odour mapping, identification, etc., and what will be done to mitigate the problem. So, Council, if you want to either bring the question back again at the next meeting, or I can simply give a report back to you and other councillors on the outcome of the meeting with the EPA tomorrow, I'm happy to do both. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. An issue that residents are also concerned about is the accumulation of rubbish in the waterways between Lake Edge Drive and the watercourse in Keysborough South. This creates a hazard for wildlife, an unhealthy smell, and is very unsightly. Can we write to Melbourne Water and urge them to review the size of the rubbish trap further up the waterway and to clean up this area as soon as practical?
Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor, and through you, Mayor. The maintenance of the waterways and associated open space areas that you refer to and those throughout the municipality is a shared responsibility between Melbourne Water and the Council. Melbourne Water are responsible for the low-flow channel and all areas up to the high water mark, while Council is responsible for the parkland areas beyond the high water mark. All areas under Council responsibility are proactively litter picked on a monthly basis by one of our contractors, in this case Waverley Industries. Recently, a Council cleansing officer has inspected the area along Lake Edge Drive and the waterway earlier with regards to the recent storms and water that we've had, luckily not to the same extent as some of our other councils in other parts of Mount Victoria. What we've found is that due to the increased water levels from the recent heavy rains, the rubbish has actually been washed up into our areas. So the water has pushed the rubbish into areas that we now manage. Accumulation of litter was within the waterway itself was also observed. The cleansing team will now deploy a crew to litter pick the water's edge and adjacent parkland areas later this week and into next week. The customer request will also be lodged with Melbourne Water to address the litter within the waterway itself and up to the high water mark. So we will continue to monitor what Melbourne Water do as well at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. My next question is regarding Keysborough South Primary School. Keysborough South Primary School is located on two busy adjacent roads. It has one lollipop supervisor at this moment. What is the criteria for that school to be able to apply to have two lollipop supervisors on both of the busy roads that where the children access the school?
Mr Kearsley.
Thank you again, Councillor. Through you, Mayor, the Victorian Government, through the Department of Transport, are currently reviewing the school crossing warrant system. Once these details are provided, Council traffic engineers will be reviewing suitable locations at all schools within the municipality, including Keysborough Gardens. Applications for school crossing supervisor subsidy typically are required a long time in advance, and we would anticipate that the earliest new school crossing supervisors will be in place anywhere in Greater Dandenong could well be the start of the 2024 school year. We'll continue to advocate once we understand what the new controls are from the Department of Transport, so that we're not having to wait until 2024. Council does not have funding for new flashing school speed signage on Chapel Road, and we're currently obtaining a quote to relocate the northbound electronic sign further up Chapel Road to a location south of Keysborough Gardens. However, this also requires Department of Transport approval. The start of the 2023 school year is what we are aiming for. In the meantime, one of our speed alert trailers is currently on Chapel Road to encourage appropriate speeds and will probably be there for a few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. The upcoming upgrade of Perry Road by the council and other stakeholders will take approximately 3 years. During that time, it is likely the traffic will divert to the local road of Keys Road, down Chapel Road. What measures is council taking to prevent traffic being diverted down that local road?
Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor. With regards, and through you, Mayor, with regards to that matter, as you've correctly identified, it is going to be a number of years for us to complete this project. Council traffic engineers are looking at a number of traffic management options to mitigate potential risks to Keys Road during these works. These include additional signage and potentially temporarily closing Keys Road to through traffic. We will be engaging with residents on Keys Road within the next few weeks and hope to make a decision on what traffic management to use in December. I've also asked the staff, in terms of their experience, to look at the longer-term issues with regards to the program over a number of years, because this is only one stage of 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Garrett.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that response, and I have forgotten my next question. Just regarding the timelines for the upcoming Dandenong Art Gallery, what is the anticipated opening time as of now?
Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor, and through you, Mayor. Unfortunately, I don't at this time have any further information to provide an update on the opening of the art gallery. There are a number of steps that we have to go through. One of them currently is waiting on a response from the contractor with regards to a matter that we have sent to them. We would hope that that matter would be clarified within the matter of days. I would then be hopeful of briefing Council at the soonest available, which may well be at the briefing on the 7th of November. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Deputy Mayor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor Mehmedi. I would like to wish our Indian community and those who celebrate happy Diwali for today. For those who don't know, Diwali is a 5-day festival starting from today, and it symbolises new beginnings and the triumph of good over evil, light over darkness and knowledge over ignorance. I'd also like to thank the Business, Engineering and Major Projects team for being of great assistance to the business owners along Ian Street in Noble Park. Special mention to Mr Van Boxtel for accompanying me to meet with one of the owners and the fast response to the concerns I raised in the last meeting. So during this time, Ian Street has reopened and is looking fantastic. This has also been followed up by the placement of the mobile CCTV in the laneway parallel to Ian Street. So through you, Mayor, I'd like to thank the relevant officer and his team for acting quickly on this. And a few things that I've attended, so they have been mentioned, but I'll mention them again anyway. So on Thursday, 13th of October, with yourself, Councillor Lim and Councillor Long, I attended the South East Business Awards hosted by the Greater Dandenong Chamber of Commerce. Just want to congratulate all the winners, especially just a special mention to one that we got an opportunity to have a good chat with, Ibrahim Hassan, the winner of the 2022 Community Impact Award sponsored by the City of Greater Dandenong. Ibrahim was part of the Young Leaders Program in 2019, so it shows that this is a great program that helps young people to step up and create further opportunities for themselves. On Friday the 14th, I attended the Noble Park Community Arts Show opening night, attended by yourself again, Councillor O'Reilly, Councillor Tan and the past Mayor and Councillor Ros Blades. Brilliant showcase of local talent, and it just, each time that I attend this, I'm just surprised more and more by the talent. I think my stick figures, I don't think would make the cut. No. And on Sunday 16th, speaking of Diwali, I attended the Diwali Mela Festival of the Lights celebration hosted by the Vasda Punjab in Melbourne Multicultural Incorporated. It was an honour to actually meet the Consular General, Dr. Sushil Kumar. My apologies, my mother is of Indian background, but I do not speak the language and I have trouble with pronunciation. But it was a fantastic festival of lights and colour and the performances were outstanding. And also attended on Wednesday the 19th of October the Council's Anti-Poverty Week event in Harmony Square. It was a great opportunity to bring together community support agencies across the poverty continuum, from food relief to employment services, to support people from the community experiencing poverty. And just a special shout out to Council's Anti-Poverty Officer, Therese Watson, who worked tirelessly on putting together the anti-poverty strategy. And also your last citizenship ceremony, I attended that on the same night, which was attended by numerous dignitaries, plus also numerous councillors here. And that was just another fantastic evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Foster. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. Some of the events I attended were the Saba AGM dinner event, which was the launch of the 2023 Springvale Lunar New Year. Also attended the Noble Park Community Arts Show opening night, and also the Friends of Refugees annual general meeting. And congratulations on our very own Ros Blades AM being elected as President of the Friends of Refugees. So for those outgoing, firstly yourself, Mayor Jim Mameti, your experience is second to none. It's been a great benefit to Council as the community has emerged from COVID restrictions. I know that your advocacy has assisted many of Council's projects being advanced. So congratulations on another successful term as Mayor. To Deputy Mayor Eden Foster, I think what's notable about yourself is that you've encouraged team spirit and harmony. You have shown impartiality and balance, and profound intelligence and maturity for a first-term councillor. So congratulations on your first term as Deputy Mayor. And CEO John Benny, as a preface to this, CEO of any council is a difficult job. I think CEO of Greater Dandenong Council is particularly challenging, given the complexities of council, the multicultural community, large manufacturing centre. I think John has shown extreme intelligence and tact in balancing community needs, against what the councillors think should happen, and managing all the different interests that come together and that council can make decisions on. And I think all of us, as we operate outside of this chamber in the broader local government sector, sometimes almost get bored of hearing from MPs and from other people at other councils telling us how good John Benny is. I tell them, well, I know how good he is because I'm working with him. And there's no doubt that John Benny is a titan in the local government sector. It's certainly arguable that John is the single most important person that has had the greatest influence on all the things that ourselves as councillors take credit for: the efficient and proper running of council, the award-winning community infrastructure that's been created, and deft navigation through difficult times. So congratulations, John, and you will be sorely missed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Just some of the events that I attended over the past 2 weeks. I also attended the Saba AGM and launch of the 2023 Springvale Lunar New Year Festival to celebrate the Year of the Rabbit, and I'd like to thank the Premier, Dan Andrews, who took some time out of his busy schedule to also attend the evening. Also attended the Nurture Self, Nurture Others, the CGD Youth Services Mental Health Week event, which 9 schools, primary school students and middle-aged students also attended. I think there was about 400 students that attended the City Hall, the Springvale City Hall on that day. Also attended and officially opened the exhibition opening night, Surveyed. I also attended the South East Business Awards hosted by the Greater Dandenong Chamber of Commerce, who would do a fantastic job, and I encourage more businesses to get on board and be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I also officially opened the Noble Park Community Art Show opening night. I was lucky I did 2 this year because of COVID in the last couple of years, so that's always a really successful event and enjoyed by our community. I also attended the Diwali Mela Festival of Lights celebration hosted by the Vasata Punjab in Melbourne, and we welcomed the Consul General, the new Consul General, Susil Kumar, who is looking forward to coming actually and visiting us in Greater Dandenong very soon. Also attended the launch of Council's Anti-Poverty Strategy 2022-25, which was, the sun was out and it was a great day, and we had hundreds and hundreds of people come through, which was fantastic. Also attended the Afghan Community Safer Streets Forum with the Victoria Police and business people from the Afghan Bazaar. I think there was over 30 businesses that attended, and I look forward to making sure that continues. We have a close relationship with the police and also the traders. What I always love is doing the citizenship ceremonies. I'll actually miss that part of being the mayor. It was a great night where we had 170 new residents become Australians, and I'd like to especially mention the Attorney General of the Commonwealth, Mr. Mark Dreyfus, KC, who actually knew it was my last citizenship ceremony and made some time to come out and share with us that special moment with these new Australians in our community. I also attended the Sigma Gambling Forum. Biho does a fantastic job at Sigma. As we know, gambling is, hits our community really hard, and we're a very low socioeconomic community where we can't afford to lose any money, and we lose the 5th amount of LGAs in the state of Victoria. And our Vietnamese community have lost dearly, and that was to support them last week. I also attended the Lankan Fest 2022 opening ceremony hosted by the Sri Lankan Future Foundation for Kids. As we know, they've been doing it tough in Sri Lanka as well, and I was there to support the community, and hopefully people can actually go and visit Sri Lanka because it's a beautiful country. I've been there myself in 2017, and they would dearly need some people to visit them and use their hotels and restaurants and support their economy. So it was a great day at the Lankan Fest. Mr. Benny, do you have any questions taken at the last council meeting?
Yes, Mayor. There were 8 councillor questions taken on notice at the last meeting. They've all been answered and are included in the minutes this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Benny. Item 7, urgent business. If there is no urgent business, I'd like to thank the attendees in the gallery this evening for coming, people watching on live stream, and I'd like to thank the officers and councillors for attending this evening. Have a great night. I declare the meeting closed at 8:47 p.m.
We are just going to now take a group photo. So councillors that would like to be part of that photo, if the members of the Hazara community or anyone who'd like to be part of the photo would move forward here. And